Hi, today we're going to talk about equity. And you're probably saying to yourself, what is equity? Well, I'm going to tell you. My name is Raighne Delaney. I'm a lawyer in Arlington, Virginia, and I focus my practice in real estate and business litigation. This doctrine, we're going to talk about it in three different ways in three different videos. And the first, which is this one, we'll talk about equity procedure, like who it applies to. And in the next two, we'll talk about equity substance, what it does and what it doesn't do. So equity basically started back in the Crusades. When some crusader would go off, he would deed his castle to a trusted friend, then he would go off and fight the wars, and when he'd come back, he'd try to get his castle back. And of course, sometimes the friend didn't give it back. So he went to the king and said, please help me get my castle back. And the king would refer these matters to his Lord Chancellor. And that is when the equity courts, rather than the law courts, were born, because the law could not help the crusader. So when you think about equity, you should think that it's what is the court more or less ordering some person to do. And for that reason, equity acts in person. And probably one of the greatest examples of this is the case of Penn versus Lord Baltimore back in like 1700. And in that case, the English courts decided that because both William Penn and Lord Baltimore were in England at the time, that they could decide the boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland. The next thing to think about is if you're a person who wants to seek equity, you can't have unclean hands, meaning you can't do anything dastardly in the transaction in order to seek out this court's help. Finally, equity aids the vigilant, not the indolent. Or in other words, don't sleep on your rights. The most famous recent example of this was the case about the Washington Redskins football team. And in that case, a group of Native Americans decided to challenge the trademark for the Redskins football team. And the court decided they just waited too long because the Redskins had been using the mark since about the 1930s. So that tells you a little bit about who applies to equity. In the next episodes, we'll talk more about the substance of it. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to call me. Thank you.